Time for the only radio show of its kind. Auctioneers of antiques, collectors of cool, veterans of vintage. It's the Donnelly Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer. For the next hour, enjoy great information about buying and selling antiques and collectibles, and some interesting stories. Now, the Donnelly Auctions Hour.
Welcome to the Donnelly Auctions Hour. Thank you for joining us. We are here every Saturday at 1 o'clock, and boy, do we have some interesting stories for you today. Hi, I'm Susan. I'm here with Randy Donnelly and Mike Donnelly today. We are the owners of Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois, and we're just 60 miles west of Chicago. Let's talk about auction items. As a matter of fact, we have an auction going on today.
Yes, we do. But, before we even talk about that, I want to mention last week a little bit. Can we do that?
Oh, let's start with last week. Go ahead.
Last week, folks, we did have our first live show, actually. And today, unfortunately, we are not live, so you can't do a call-in. But we had a call-in at our last show, and, boy, that was a lot of fun.
That was interesting,
We're going to certainly do that again. But today, we're tied up here at Donnelly Auctions because we do have an auction going on, so we can't do our show live at the same time, unfortunately, today.
That's right. The auction started at 10 o'clock this morning, but some of the highlight key pieces are still available for viewing and to bid online. If anybody's interested in cars and trucks and high-end coin-op antique music items.
Motorcycles.
Oh, my gosh. There's such great stuff, and it'll probably be coming up around 1, 2, 3 o'clock. Some of those, the
right,
vehicles,
I think everything's after
about.
1, so we're starting now at 1 o'clock here with the radio show. And, of course, later in the day, a lot of great coin-op. Good coin-op machines, some really unusual pieces, unlike stuff that you normally see at
well, one of my favorite pieces coming up today is the Dunbar Twin Popper Peanut Trailer. And it's a very valuable item. We have several popcorn machines in the auction, so I thought, hey, let's talk about popcorn today.
Good. And let's do that kind of in our next segment, though, because we've got Mike here. And let's talk about what you've got as far as a favorite item in today's auction.
My favorite in today's auction? Oh, man, there is so much here. It's unbelievable.
I know the answer to that one, Mike. The Apothecary mortar and pestle display with the eagle on the top.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's funny because of that's a very early trade sign. I mean, back in the early to mid 1800s, the majority of the population in the United States was illiterate. I mean, they could not read or write. So if they were going to a store, they could not sign on the front of the store. So that's where trade signs came in, where if a dentist would have a big tooth hanging out there, or an optician would have a pair of eyeglasses. Somebody would see that, they know what that store was and where they were going. Well, what we have here is a big apothecary from a drugstore, a mortar and pestle apothecary sign with a big eagle on top of it. Now, this would have hung on or stood in front of a drugstore, so people would know that's where I can go have my prescription filled, or if I need a tooth medicine or something like that, they would go in there. So early trade signs are very collectible.
So really, is that how barber poles came into existence? So people who, like you say, couldn't read, understood that was a barber shop?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and that's still with us today. The barber, I mean, you see the barber pole, you don't have to even see or know that it's a barber shop. Or a sign there, you know that's a barber shop, and that's what these trade signs told people.
And so even the wooden cigar store figures, which were very often Native Americans or baseball players or any number of things, those figures holding cigars out in front of a store obviously meant tobacco shop.
Correct. Yeah. If you look at old photographs of streets from the early in the mid 1800s and look at the photographs, you'll see these signs hanging in front of these shops.
Well, that particular one, Mike, is 32 inches tall, just to give everybody an idea, because they can't really visualize it, and it's made of zinc, right?
Made of zinc, yes, and cast iron eagle on top. I mean, with a gold leaf finish on it, absolutely outstanding. It's lot 1062. It's actually going to be one of the first items in the auction here within the first hour.
Gotcha.
But really cool. I mean, if nothing else, go up and look online, because you never know when you're going to find one in a garage sitting somewhere. So,
well, that's what we always try to emphasize on this show is, the purpose of our show being helping people not only liquidate their items, but find out what some of this stuff is worth, because we're constantly being told by people who bring stuff in to us, oh, I found this at a garage sale. Oh, my God, I just got this, for $10, $20. And when we see these, what I'm going to refer to as pickers, who pick all this stuff up at garage sales and estate sales and everything, bringing it to us, selling it for high value, I just always feel bad for the people that sold it at their garage sales.
I know. And, that brings me to an item that came in this week to Mike Donnelly's desk. And I heard you guys grumbling about it. I don't know why we take this kind of stuff. And then Mike did his homework and found a fascinating story about this particular item. And, Mike, I'll let you take it from here, but I wanted you to share that story with us today.
Okay, it in a box, like we're saying, we're looking at saying, well, why would we want these in our auction? Well, it was a pair of inline skates, but they were very early. You could tell they were very early made, and not like the rollerblades of today, but very similar. And on the bottom was stamped Chicago Skate Company. So I get online, do a little research, and sure enough, in 1966, Chicago Skate Company, which was here in Chicago, obviously, they were the largest roller skate manufacturer in the world, actually. They developed and patented the inline skate in 1966. The public didn't go for it, so they shelved it real quick, and within a year they discontinued it. Well, fast forward to 1980, and a guy up in a 17-year-old kid actually up in Minnesota was working on a pair of skates so he could play hockey in the summertime, and developed his own set of inline skates. Went up online, saw there was a patent on them already, so he hitchhikes down from Minneapolis down to Chicago Skate and makes a deal and buys their patent from them for little or no money. Scott Olson was his name, and we know the rest is history. He named his new invention, or his new product, rollerblades. It took the country by storm, grew into a $500 million a year industry, and within a couple of years, Chicago Roller Skate was bankrupt. They missed their opportunity.
Wow. I love that story.
Yeah. So we got a pair here like in mint condition because they were probably never used, some new old stock items.
So we've got the original 1960s version of a rollerblade that is so popular.
And that's half the fun of what we do here is investigating company histories and such like that, because of aside from the artifacts of what it is, it tells the story of this country, the manufacturing and how things evolved.
Mike, it is so funny because even myself, I'm always saying to people, hey, don't sell this, without knowing, at your garage sales, $5, $10, because even when I looked at those skates, I thought, oh, piece of junk here. Why are these here at this auction hall? And then you do the research. But it was a similar situation when you came by to my desk with that license plate in your hand, telling me, oh, man, I got something really good here, and I'm looking at this license plate thinking, this is a piece of junk. If I would have been at Kane County Flea Market and saw that license plate for $100 on somebody's table, I would have been, just walking right past it. And you do the research and sell this license plate for $30,000. I keep bringing that up because, that's what we do.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's why we have so many experts on our staff who can tell us these things, because not everybody knows the value of the item. So we find out for you. Again, you can check our website at DonnellyAuctions.com. I suggest you go to our website and look at our auctions if you want to see the prices of some of the items that are going today. That'll give you an idea of the value.
Well, and folks, when you go to our website right now, if you look at, again, today's auction and see the type of items we have, these are all items that you're calling in with. Look at what we have for sale, and we're getting this merchandise from you, our listeners, and this is out there, this is available, and we need more of the type of things we're selling today. We need pinball machines, we need slot machines, we need
arcade games. There's just so many great things, because April is our annual spring classic. which is a 3 or 4 day auction. We do the best of the best at that time. So now is the perfect time to consign any of those high-end items for our April Spring Classic. Folks, give us a call at 815-923-7000 or email us at consign, C-O-N-S-I-G-N, at DonleyAuctions.com.
You know, Susan, this is one of the very few auctions so far, our April auction, that we do not have a bar and a back bar, a big commercial bar. So, folks, anybody out there with an old saloon bar that's maybe still in a building that you have or in storage somewhere, we do need a big old Brunswick bar and back bar for our April auction.
That's right. Give us a call. Again, the number is 815-923-7000. Mike, thanks for joining us today. Love the story about the skates. And check our website at DonleyAuctions.com. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to talk about popcorn today. It's one of my favorite snacks.
I know you wanted to start with that,
but later.
We'll
That's for sure.
Okay.
I know. Don't go anywhere, folks. You're listening to the Donnelly Auctions Hour right here on AM 560, The Answer.
They've been called auctioneers of antiques, collectors of cool, even veterans of vintage. And they can introduce themselves. Thanks for listening. This is the Donnelly Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back to the Donnelly Auctions Hour. I'm Susan, co-owner of Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois, here with Randy Donnelly. We were just talking about missed opportunities and the Chicago Skate Company, how they missed an opportunity to produce inline skates, and some 17-year-old
you know what, though?
Took and ran with it.
They did. Here's the whole thing. They did try it. And so it's not really a missed opportunity for them if the timing just wasn't right. You know, sometimes different inventions, work better at different times in history. And they, in the 1960s, they just weren't ready for that inline skate. Or, as you say, missed opportunity, maybe didn't promote it right. But
I don't know. I just remember roller skating, in the 70s and 80s. It was all starting to change right at that time. So I don't know. What a great story. So, again, the purpose of bringing that up is that we don't want you to miss any opportunities by getting your valuable items into an auction. Set your goal for 2024 to downsize, minimalize, clear out. Call Donnelly Auctions.
It is
put us in your will.
Well, that's no joke, folks. Susan's laughing at that, but we're in many, many people's wills already. We've worked with various lawyers and estate planners and so on and so forth, where people at the time of their death have it already lined up that we will be doing the auctions for very large collections that they have, be it antique cars, motorcycles, arcade equipment, military relics, gun auctions. I mean, it's just amazing how many people have already made that decision.
That's right. And I do want to touch base again real quick. We do have an auction going on today right now as we speak. And one of my favorite items, Mike talked about the apothecary display piece. I love that popcorn wagon. So I wanted to just bring up how interesting popcorn collecting is. Not just
really
the wagons and the machines, but all of the supplies and everything that go with it. So we have what is called a Dunbar. What is that called, Randy?
Oh, it's a Dunbar popcorn
trailer.
wagon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was. It's not a Creeders one, but Creeders started the production of popcorn wagons in
machines.
1885.
Yeah. Well, I think 1883 is probably when it was introduced at the World's Fair, was it not?
No, that was in 1893.
1893.
At the Columbian Expo, yeah.
Wow.
I know, right? So we have 4 or 5 of those popcorn machines, wagons, trailers in the auction today for anybody looking for some, big collector item like that in the popcorn industry.
And, that brings up a very interesting point. The people very often say to me, hey, I don't want to wait for an auction. How can we liquidate this now? And, folks, we do buy all the time. For example, this popcorn collection was actually a popcorn museum out of state that was closing. And we went in and bought the whole collection, and we are now auctioning them off one piece at a time. But the gentleman did not want to sell them piecemeal, and I don't blame him. It's a very lengthy process, a lot of work. So very often we will go in and buy your whole collection also. But I always will give you the pros and cons, and that is this. We're going to buy cheap enough for us to make a profit, whereas we want you to be able to get more money out of it at auction, just like we would do. So it's a matter of timing.
Right. And just a couple brand names to bring up with the popcorn items in the auction today are Dunbar, Kingery, Bartholomew, and Holcomb and Hoke.
Holcomb and Hoke, yeah.
Those are some
I
great.
think they were out of Indiana, weren't they?
But, I wanted some little history on Creeders. Charles Creeder started the company in Chicago, of course, in 1885. And he started out with peanut roasters. And he did not like the way that equipment was working, so he sold everything, moved to Chicago, and built a better one that was driven by steam.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that great? And then he just decided to show everybody his new invention in 1893 at the Columbian Expo with making popcorn. But I have a little trivia question for you.
Okay.
You've seen on the peanut roasters, the little clown that turns the tumbler.
Yeah, sure. I've seen 100 of them.
If you haven't seen it, go look it up. He has a name. You know what his name is?
I have no idea. The clown had a name.
The clown had a name, yes. It was their little gimmick to get people interested to see what they were doing. His name was Toasty Roasty, for those of you
Roasty. Wow.
who knew that answer. Good job.
So that's like a Ronald McDonald, symbol. So they had a Toasty Roasty clown way back in 1893.
Exactly. So then they continued on and figured out how to do high-volume machines, and that's when they got into theaters and parks, and the rest is history. Now they're doing nacho machines and pizza stands.
Most of these exhibitors were doing work at carnivals and fairs and everything across the country. Not only selling this on street corners, but interesting thing when we opened the Wild West town years ago, back in the 70s, we started doing business with Gold Medal out of Chicago here, and they started in 1931 selling popcorn and all kinds of accessories, and they would sell equipment and everything, but they did the cotton candy and snow cones and everything, and so they were right in Chicago also. I think now they're like in Ohio. They're still in business, the Evans family, but right here in Chicago also, very famous, the Garrett's popcorn.
Oh, we love Garrett's popcorn.
Isn't that fabulous?
Yeah, and a lot of great things came out of Chicago.
Yeah, all these family businesses that started and now are huge corporations.
Well, with that in mind, too, I remember when I was a kid, probably junior high, high school, they came out with microwave popcorn. Do you remember when that hit the market?
I don't.
We were shocked and blown away. We didn't trust it at all, and my mom still made the popcorn in a big pan on the stove. We're not using that microwave popcorn.
Wow.
And I remember when it came out, it was a huge, huge thing at the time.
Yep. Well, okay, that's because we're talking about this because we have popcorn machines for sale today, folks. If you want to invest in a really nice antique popcorn machine, we have a load of them at today's auction.
Great in any type of man cave, any entertainment room, anything, a movie theater room. A lot of people have that nowadays. Oh, also, I read that Regal Theaters is now invented self-serve popcorn machines. You can go up and get your own bag of popcorn.
Well, actually, that's not a new invention. We used to do that as
on
kids.
Its own. I don't think you were supposed to. You don't want to be touching it, though.
That's nothing new.
But let's switch gears real quick. Also, some valuable items that we love to have in auction are arcade games, pinball machines, slot machines. And in today's auction, there is a 1968 Sega Moto Polo game.
This is such a rare
what do you know
piece.
About this?
And this, again, came out of the Barrington area, of course.
Yeah. It has been completely restored inside and out to museum quality perfection.
Yeah, it's exceedingly rare. And there's it's almost like a hockey game, where you have players on both sides
ends,
of the board. Yeah. And instead of pushing hockey players, you actually push a little motorcycle back and forth. And that, hits a ping pong ball. You go back and forth. Just an exceedingly rare game.
It makes motorcycle sounds. It has volume control knobs. It's like a big hockey game kind of a thing. But wow, what a great piece. It has been replated, includes 2 coins for the coin box. It's just a phenomenal vintage item for sure. And that's lot 2052 in today's auction.
Well, and again, folks, all kinds of goodies in today's auction. One of the things that we're going to be selling is a jukebox that our technician went over and had to rewire the entire jukebox, Susan.
I know, I saw that.
But in order to get our consignor the most money, that's what we had done for them. The whole thing is being rewired, and we pulled this out of a basement in the south side of Chicago just months ago.
It's a beauty. Yeah. And I understand that all the jukeboxes will be turned on and playing at the auction, I hope.
Yes,
So if you want to come out and preview any of that, Friday, that was yesterday, was the preview, but we'll also have, free preview in the morning, which is already over because it's 1 o'clock.
Yep,
okay. But you know what?
That's the problem with not doing a live show,
But
folks.
if you come out anyway and you still want to look at those items, we will always let you preview what we have on the floor.
We've got a self-playing violin. We've got a self-playing banjo. We've got slot machines, antique cars, vintage signs. You name it. It's all being sold this Saturday, today.
And my favorite item is that 54 custom Chevy pickup truck.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
And there's still time. As we speak on the show right now, there's still time to bid on it. So get to DonleyAuctions.com.
That's right. Go to the auction, click on the button that says catalog, peruse through there. You'll see where we're at. You'll even be able to see us on the stage. You'll be able to see our auctioneer. If you're at home right now, get online, check it out, because you want to see what things are worth today as well. So that's the best way to do it. We have thousands of bidders online looking at the stuff.
And we have David, our military expert, coming up in our next segment.
That's right. Don't go anywhere, folks. AM 560, The Answer.
You're listening to the Donnelly Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back to the Donnelly Auctions Hour. I'm Susan, here with Randy Donnelly of Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois. We're just 60 miles west of Chicago, folks. We have an auction going on right now today. Hop in your car, head straight out west on I-90. Come on out for some lunch.
Well, yeah, because I think this auction's obviously going to go till 5:30, 6 o'clock
at
tonight.
Least. Yeah, it's going to be a late one.
So take a look online, see if there's anything you're interested in, and get out there or bid online.
Bid online, and if there's anything that's really of high quality, large value item that you'd rather just be on the phone with me, I will take your phone bids. No problem. So it's just like you're at the auction with us. So you can always call us at 815-923-7000. Get your phone and absentee bids in, whatever's easiest for you, most convenient. But next, military and guns. We have an auction coming up in February 17th and 18th. Mark your calendar. We have David on the phone with us today to tell us a little bit about the military auction.
Now, folks, before David even speaks to this, I do want to remind everybody it's not too late to get your items into this auction. So if you have anything in military relics, we're going to kind of give you our wants list in a few minutes. But don't hesitate to call us, but you got to call now. You got to call fast.
Did I say the number? I'll say it again, 815-923-7000.
So, David.
Hi, David.
Thanks for being on with us today. Let's talk a little bit about the upcoming military auction that we've got February 17th and 18th. Now, when I say 17th and 18th, that's guns and military. So guns is the whole first day. That's Saturday. But let's talk a little bit about Sunday, February 18th with our military.
Sure. I'm going to say that it almost could be called the man cave auction, because there's just something for everybody. That if it's something for an advanced collector, but there's also things that if you have an office and you want to really impress people, like, we have some sextants, nautical sextants and compasses. And, we have a bunch of samurai swords that are not that expensive. They're still decent, that if you want to just have a samurai sword in your office.
Nice display pieces, like you say, hang on the wall.
The displays in the plastic boxes with the ships and the subs and the tanks.
Oh, yeah. What is all that?
I've done some homework on that and talked to consignor, and he was pretty humble about it, but he's a master modeler. And these are not just like the kind of kits that a kid gets. He's won awards. His models are in museums around the country. And he has these ones that are made by some of the top companies that produce model kits that are for professional modelers, and he has submarines and surface ships and German artillery pieces and American armored vehicles, and they're tastefully done under plexi with beautiful labels, and he's a master modeler.
I was really surprised at the quality when I saw those coming in, and they're all in beautiful plexiglass boxes and everything. But tell me about this big Japanese World War II Japanese collection. I was really surprised at the quality that I'm seeing in this auction of Japanese relics, because so often we're top-loaded with German World War II or American items, but very rarely do we have this quantity of Japanese.
Yes, this is a collector who got to a point when he decided that he was just going to slow down, and he would travel to Japan, and he would find things around the United States, and this is just from Japanese medals and decorations, beautiful ones, to Japanese uniforms, Japanese leather flight helmet like you'd see from Tora. And one thing that's just a standout is this: we have a jet fuel bottle that was used by the Japanese 2 experimental jet aircrafts, and this is a jet fuel bottle, and it's very cool. It's very rare, and we found out that the museum in Japan that has the only existing jet fighter on display, that they don't even have one of these bottles.
Wow, so they may be our buyer.
Possibly. We're going to make sure we get in contact with them, yes.
And that's another thing, ladies and gentlemen. Being in the auction business today is not like it was, like you might think of, 30, 40, 50 years ago, where people would just come in and you'd hope a lot of people showed up and everything. Today, being online, we are all over the world. And I cannot tell you how much of this stuff goes overseas, because our GIs during World War II, they picked up souvenirs, brought them home, and now other countries are buying them here in at our auctions in the United States and bringing them home for their own collections and museums back overseas. It's just wild the way this stuff travels the countries and the world. So,
if I may say so, the legwork that Donnelly Auction does, I've seen it, I've been part of it, contacting museums, contacting historical societies, contacting collector clubs to make sure they're aware of what we have for sale. And that is, in today's world, that is absolutely critical to get your word out that you've got great stuff, and it isn't just a bunch of people that show up on one day and barely no one sees it.
And you know what else? Don't forget that you guys are going to be at the Show of Shows in Louisville in February, too. So if anybody's out that direction, stop by and see us, especially if you have anything to consign. David, don't leave us yet. I want to talk about the ordnance auction that's coming up in March. Can you stay with us?
I sure can.
Okay. Thank you, David. Again, give us a call at 815-923-7000. Do you have any military relics that you'd like to put in an auction? Give us a call and don't go anywhere. You're listening to us on AM 560, The Answer.
And now, more of the Donnelly Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
We are back with the Donnelly Auctions Hour. Thank you for sticking with us during that break. Again, I'm Susan. I'm co-owner of Donnelly Auctions, here with my wonderful partner, Randy Donnelly. Hi, Randy.
Hey, Susan. I wanted to remind everybody, too, one of our, David was just talking about how we sell internationally and stuff goes all over the world. In one of our last auctions, we actually ended up selling a bust, a bronze bust that had been taken off of a building in Nuremberg, and it went back to Munich. It was sold to Munich, Germany, because, again, they wanted these military relics back for their own museums. And it's funny, again, how stuff goes back and forth. But, David, you're here with us now. We're going to be talking about the Geibel Ordnance Collection in a minute, but what are we looking for right now? If we were telling our listeners out there for any military relics that we want coming up for the February auction, I mean, we're always looking for flight jackets, World War II, especially the painted flight jackets that pilots and crew wore during World War II. But what are some of the other items that we should be looking for in people's homes right now?
All right, so across the board, it's always the sword in the back of the closet. Now, ideally, when you ask me what are we looking for, we're looking for the person who might have 10 swords or 20 swords because we know how to handle collections. But swords are something that a lot of people don't throw away and think they have value, and a lot of times they do. And I'd say also, we talked about the Geibel Ordnance Collection, and just to break it down, old artillery shells that sometimes ends up in the garage, or someone turns it over and uses it as an ashtray, and sometimes those shells are worth hundreds of dollars. So, or the old uniforms in the back of the closet from somebody who had served, in Vietnam or Korea or World War II, and of course the leather flight jackets, always very, very popular. But and medals, a lot of people keep keepsakes, and all of a sudden they don't realize who that medal belonged to in the family, and why should they keep it? And they want to make sure it gets a good home. And groupings. Of like one man's items or one woman's items. And when I mention women, female nurse stuff, uniforms and hats from the early nurse corps of World War II, very, very, very collectible. And, just the one commonality in everybody's house. Someone served in the military and somebody played with toys.
Back in the day, the Wild West town, when it was open, we had a large military collection, and my military collection on display there. One of my favorite exhibits was Women at War. Over the years, living in Berwyn, I had met so many ladies that had been in the military and still had their uniforms and everything, and I put together a really impressive collection of all the various branches of military from World War II. So I'm so glad you brought up women's uniforms, because that often goes so overlooked, and people just don't realize the value of some of the women's, including the shoes, the purses, the hats, all the accessories that were GI issued. And, people used this stuff after the war. Ladies they were well-made leather purses and shoes and everything. So they wore this stuff out in the 1940s and 50s. And a lot of times it's pretty rare.
Yes, that's one of my specialties. One of my side interests is the women's experience in the service.
Yep. Wow. Hey, let's get on to the Geibel collection.
Okay, coming up, Geibel Ordnance Auction. We have over 900 items. Again, mark your calendars for Saturday, March 16th. Go to our website at DonnellyAuctions.com. And David is working very hard on this collection, huh, David?
Yes, it's known to be like one of the top 2 or 3, or maybe the number 1 collection available. And the son and the wife of the collector, understood that Donnelly Auctions could be the ones to take this specialized collection and promote it and sell it properly. And it's everything you can imagine from an advanced collector. His reference library is 300 to 400 books, and some of them are fantastic. And he collected everything, things that go boom. So grenades and landmines and fuses and blasting machines like you see in old West movies where someone blows up the train. There's artillery shells, and there are prototypes. And there's rocket launchers, all of it legal, all of it reviewed by the federal government. Real quick,
can we ship those items?
Yeah, we can ship them, but they have to be shipped to an American address to one of the 50 states because of the climate and some of the changing rules. Yeah, we have to ship ground, and we have to ship only to a U.S. address.
Good to know.
Well, and I'm glad you brought up, the importance of who to sell this to. We do have an FFL, for guns and everything, but that's one thing that we will be able to help you with is making sure that what you have is legal. Sometimes GIs brought stuff home that, isn't 100% legal by today's standards, so it still has to be turned over to the proper authorities. We can help you do all that. Again, with our FFL, we'll look at all this for you and make sure this is all done the right way. Speaking of which, we picked up over 100 guns.
That's right. It's
this
a busy
week alone.
Right.
Just this week.
100 firearms coming up in our February 17th auction. Again, not too late to consign firearms, ammunition, reloading gear, sportsmen, hunting, fishing, anything like that. give us a call at 815-923-7000, or you can email us at consign@DonnellyAuctions.com. Send us some pictures, and I'll put you in touch with David or Neil or Randy or Mike, and we will give you next steps. Thank you, David, for joining the show. We'll see you back at the office.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll see you soon. All right, folks, like I said, go to DonnellyAuctions.com. All of our auctions are listed there, so you can just go in and look at a catalog if you want.
We have at least one auction a month.
I know. It's crazy. We want to do more. So get us your merchandise, folks. 815-923-7000. You're listening to the Donnelly Auctions Hour right here on AM 560, The Answer.
The Donnelly Auctions Hour continues now on AM 560, The Answer.
We are back with the Donnelly Auctions Hour talking about items you may have at home that might be of value and you might want to put in auction or sell the entire collection to us. But one thing David said in our last segment, he's our military expert. He said back in the day, you either were in the military or playing with toys. So I thought that'd be a good comment to make because we have a toy auction coming up in March.
Wow, that's around the corner,
yeah,
folks.
I know.
So if you have any antique
hopefully.
toys, and that includes all kinds of items, whether it's old cast iron toys, like arcade or Hubley or anything, or tin toys, tin wind-ups, plastic toys, trains. Trains is always big, and even certain dolls. Unfortunately, dolls were manufactured so plentifully, and so many people collected up dolls and then just bought them as investment pieces, only to find out that because they were so mass manufactured, they have very little value today.
Well, I see you have on your note here, Cabbage Patch. What can you tell me about? Are those valuable, Cabbage Patch dolls?
Well, you know what? A woman who had consigned some really nice pieces to us, some oil paintings and everything, the other day called and said, "Oh, I've got some Cabbage Patch dolls." And just like anybody would think, my first reaction was, they're not worth anything. And most people, dump stuff like that at, what am I keep saying, at their garage sales and everything. They put $1, $2, $3 on this stuff. So always taking a nod from my brother Mike, do your research before you shoot your mouth off. No more missed
opportunities.
Yeah. So in researching Cabbage Patch dolls, there's a lot of them that are worth $10, $15, $25. But there's also a bunch of the early Cabbage Patch dolls and everything that are going, as high as, Susan, as high as $9,000, $10,000.
What?
I kid you not.
Oh, my gosh. I remember when those came out.
That's why, folks,
you're not that old.
You have to have us, either yourself or us, do the research.
Okay.
You can't throw away a lottery ticket without checking the numbers.
Early Cabbage Patch dolls only. Well, it's probably the same with Beanie Babies and everything. There's only a couple rare ones here and there, but, most of them are not. You gotta know.
You've got to know which ones have some value.
Well, you know what I like, too, about the toy auction coming up? Some of my favorite items are mechanical banks, those cast iron mechanical banks. We had a huge collection of those once. Those sold so well. I would love to see another bank collection. If anybody has anything like that, give us a call at 815-923-7000.
And that's it, folks. You have collections out there. You need to sell these, or you've inherited a home with all kinds of antiques and items, and that doesn't necessarily have to be antique. Look at Cabbage Patch. Isn't that old?
Right?
We're talking...
Well, it is old if you're thinking 50 years already.
Well, 1980 is already 43 years old.
Yeah.
So
a lot
there
of
you go.
vintage stuff is extremely valuable, like vintage electronics and turntables and speakers.
Yeah, that's
because we have an auction coming up with those items as well this summer.
We've got a whole 1950s pink kitchen set that looks like the out of the Barbie movie.
What, the whole kitchen is pink?
It's all pink appliances and everything. That's the way it was manufactured. Somebody just didn't paint this pink. Wait till you see this.
Oh, my gosh. I can't wait
Came
for
out
that.
of California,
You
folks.
never know what's going to come in Donnelly Auctions. So be sure you check our website, folks, at DonnellyAuctions.com. Email us at consign@DonnellyAuctions.com. Don't forget, there's plenty of ways to bid at an auction. I can take your phone bids. We can take absentee bids. You can bid online, and you can come to see us in person in Union, Illinois. So thank you for joining us.
We got an auction today.
We got an auction today, right? It's not too late. Come on out. The weather's nice. Again, thanks for listening to the Donnelly Auctions Hour. For now, I'm Susan.
And I'm Randy Donnelly. And we'll see you at the auction.
Thanks for listening to the Donnelly Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer. Check out all the latest information on upcoming auctions and collectibles at DonnellyAuctions.com. And while you're there, you can contact someone about buying or selling your collectibles or estates. That's DonnellyAuctions.com.